As discussed in the previous video, Malays do not reject meritocracy. We believe in fairness. We believe people should be recognized for their effort, their contribution, and their values. But in Singapore, the word meritocracy has been used to justify racism. Before we talk about the PAP's racism, before we examine how they suppressed the Malay community, we need to talk about the society they inherited. Because the suppression of the Malays did not begin with the PAP. It began with the British. And the PAP, as the British appointed successors, continued the colonial project for their own benefit. We know the truth of our past. We know that the Malays have a long, rich history in Singapore and the region. That we were a center of international trade for hundreds of years, long before the British ever arrived. We were traders, merchants, statesmen. When the British forced the Sultan to hand over Singapore under threat of war, they knew they had to prevent the Malays from regaining control of their own land. They did not want resistance. They did not want a strong, independent Malay population that could challenge colonial authority or stop the extraction of Malay land, labor, and resources. So they placed Malays in civil service roles, clerks, messengers, junior officers, drivers. Until today, I still hear some Chinese businessmen referring to their drivers as Ahmad, because that's the term that were used for the drivers during the colonial times. But Malays were never in the rooms where decisions were made. The middleman roles in the commercial sector, trade, shipping, finance, banking, were handed over to the Chinese community. At that time, many Chinese migrants did not even view Singapore or Malaya as a permanent home. They came to make money, send it back to China and move on. They posed no political threat to the British rule, and that suited the empire just fine. Over time, the Chinese community built real commercial power. They developed tight-knit business networks, family ties, clan associations, trade guilds, informal banking, and they kept opportunity within those circles. Those networks became gatekeepers. If you were not inside, you were locked out. Access to capital, access to credit, access to markets, all stayed within those self-reinforcing circles. Other communities, especially the Malays, were excluded. This is not an indictment of the Chinese community as a whole. They were in business and did not have a responsibility to the other communities. But by the time the British left, the Chinese community dominated the economy. Banks, shipping, warehousing, wholesale trade, urban land ownership. Meanwhile, while some Malays were able to break through the cages of British discrimination, the community as a whole was left with little. We had become a minority in our own land, living in fragments of the state. No capital, no ownership, no control. That was not meritocracy. That was racial engineering. And when the PAP took over, they did not dismantle that structure. They protected it. They benefited from it. They kept one group as the commercial and political elite and told the rest of us, if you did not succeed, it was because you did not earn it. And they called it meritocracy. In the next video, inshallah, I will talk about how the PAP used this narrative to justify policies that kept Malays on the margins, economically, politically, and socially.